officials coming, with them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I want to fix them personally. Peter wait, Peter look Cecil Rhodes by the gate. Peter look the Englishman, we send Cecil Rhodes to Africa land. Peter take Drake, take Raleigh, but leave Victoria for me. Peter I just don't care what you say, but Mussolini he can't get away. Why?
This is my time for money.
This is where I take the opportunity to say a pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
This is your time for money.
And how are we doing this afternoon? I'm hoping that you're having yourself another blessed one. Blaze like a fire today, that's that way. Today being Monday, the 27th day of October. Just a few days left in the month.
You don't know the pressure that I undergo from these smart man and woman. I feel the full weight of the hand. They made the oppressed law. They never care about the poor. Peter, these people had a day. Well, now it's time for Stalin to play. Peter, wait, I say Peter, wait. Peter, look, Ian Smith by the gate.
Born him.
Peter, I don't want you to make fuss. Remember, I want Christopher Columbus. Peter, look, the English woman.
So I'm hoping that each and every one of you guys have had yourself a wonderful weekend.
Peter, I just don't care.
And we're ready, geared and ready again, alright?
I have to.
The class in session program, we're back up and running, man. We kinda running on a kinda a foot and a half. We had to get the ball rolling, eh? That is what I've been doing. Those of you guys who have been following me on Facebook, other platforms, you know, I've been touching on the issues. Right now, let they come at me with facts, not confusion. This Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, the new National Party public meeting. We are at St. Patrick's West at the McDonald's College. Hey, this Wednesday, the 29th of October, starting at 6:30. Brother Glean,
Ready.
We are on our way.
If you go ahead and take Foster. But that woman Mary.
The love in the house of the new National Party.
So much confusion.
Starts to grow.
You got to give Black Star.
The people is starting to become vocal. We are trying and starting to ensure that our voters are ready.
Remember, we still have Morgan.
The diaspora is ready. Our young registered voters, we are giving you information to have us back in governance come the next general election.
Can't get away. Why?
You guys don't know how excited I am right now. We have been having some figures and some information on the ground. And I say to you, if an election is called today in Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique, the new National Party is well on its way to victory. Take it from me when I tell you that. We are going to take the music down a little bit and we're going to get into conversation. Now, ever so often, take away that noise I'm hearing in my... All right. So, at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping that you guys would be hearing me properly. All right? I'm getting a very slight feedback, but I'm hoping that it does not affect us in any type of way, fashion, or form. Me ensure that my pitch is all right. I think my pitch has gone down a little bit. So let me put that back up so you guys can hear me loud and clear coming into your speakers right now. All right. So again, a pleasant good evening to each and every one of you, and we are ready to have our conversation. Now, we want to remind persons here in Grenada as it relates to your registration. And so before we jump into that conversation of registration, we want to, on the behalf of the Class in Session program, send out a solemn and heartfelt thank you to all the persons who have really been patient in the, re-energizing or the recuperating of the program. Yes, we want to say thank you guys so much for those of you guys who gave in any little way, fashion, or form to ensure that we can be back on our way and operating, as I said, not in its whole sense, but at least we are here at this stage working it in a manner that we want to get the information out there. All right. Also, to our folks out there in Jamaica, yeah, we know the sister party of the New National Party have recently been re-elected, and so we want to send out that lovely call, yes, to the people of Jamaica to be vigilant. Yes, to be vigilant, and that God continue to bless, guide, and protect you guys out there as you might be in the path of another natural disaster to hit all Caribbean islands, and it is only prayers at this stage that can help you guys. I'm certain if we as the New National Party could have come to Jamaica and bar the wind and the rain, we would have definitely do that, because we know how important we as a political organization here in Grenada look on you guys as a fellow colleague political organization in terms of our growth and development here in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. Yes, I hope you guys and wish you guys all the best. So ladies and gentlemen, let's start our conversation here today, and I want to start with this one. And first, let me just play this clip. I think, sorry about that, ladies. Sorry about that. I think my fingers would have touched the wrong clip for now. Let me ensure that that is being fixed. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me ensure that I get the proper footage that I'm looking for. Let's see. Let's ensure that we get the correct thing, because we want to ensure that we share the correct information. All right, not this. My apologies for that bit of hold up. All right, beautiful. That's it.
The Grenada Union of Teachers is expressing frustration as members continue to face prolonged salary delays. According to union officials, a similar situation occurred in 2024, which sparked several weeks of protest action by the union. Although the union has not indicated plans for protest action at this time, it is urging the Ministry of Education to intervene and resolve what is described as an unacceptable situation. GUT President Jude Bartholomew, speaking during a press conference on Tuesday, says teachers should not be blamed for the issue, as all required documentation, including appraisals, have been submitted on time.
Because the schools know the situation with the temporary teachers who have to be on contract, and it's an unfortunate situation with some of the teachers, because they're teaching a long time. They should not have even been on contract anyway if they have basically a position where they could be permanent, because they're more than 2 years in a school. And you see what is happening over and over. And so here principals did what they had to do, appraise those teachers, and I'm aware of that the appraisal went in for these teachers since May or June. so that they give the Ministry of Education enough time to really deal with that situation.
Bartholomew emphasized that the situation is not the fault of the government, but rather the result of administrative failures within the Ministry of Education.
The Ministry of Education, they have what you call a blanket cover. So it means that they could speed up the process. They don't have to go through all the long processes, going to all over DPA, PSE here, there, and everywhere. And many times to be using the PSE as an excuse and such is far from the truth. So that problem here is a problem with the Ministry of Education this time.
So ladies and gentlemen, I want to pause this because on my very first listen, and as you can see the smile on my face, even with this. So this is the union leader of the Grenada Union of Teachers speaking as it relates to teachers that have not received salaries, and that salary payments have not been made to them despite all assessments and all appraisals were sent in June of this year. But you see, it is always fascinating when you listen to these guys speak, because it becomes both comical and humiliating to them. Because when you put them at a position, meaning at a scale, as we would say in local terminology, you realize that they are laughable. Just to laugh at them. Because a few years ago, when an issue would have arisen in terms of decision making and all these things, the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada was the ones who hated teachers, wasn't it? But today, we have a situation of similarity. And it is not a government fault, it is the Ministry of Education fault. My question to the dear union leader, where does the Ministry of Education fall again in terms of an entity of the state? Does it fall under the National Lotteries Authority? Does it fall on the Convention of Churches? Does it fall under, where should I put it? Aviation? Is it something that is responsible by the airport authority? You have a grown man, a trade union leader, or a union leader, speaking on an issue and saying it's not government fault, but it is government fault, because that is what you're saying. You sound rhetorical and foolish. But you see, in the attempt to still speak for teachers and the rights of teachers, he still wants to politically affiliate it. He still wants to politically affiliate it. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't want to look bad in the eyes of whom he supports. So yes, it is wrong, but it is not wrong by the entire government. It is by an entity of the government. Because the Ministry of Education, as I know, is a ministry that falls under government supervision. Because at present, there is an issue going on in Grenlec as it relates to persons and their bills, and the clarion call is being made to government to do something, even if it's not a per se direct script for which the government has to take responsibility for, but it is an entity that coincides with. But when you have a ministry within the government, and you're saying it's not government fault, it's not government fault, you know, but it's the Ministry of Education. Jude Bartholomew, sir, it is your constitutional right to support a political organization. But you must take a mutual stance when it comes to representing those persons. And that stance must be taken in a manner where there is no fear nor favor. There shouldn't be any fear nor favor. Government has a responsibility and a mandate to ensure that issues of that nature is being dealt with. We have had it before, and now we're having it again. You mentioned it. And so, if you are going to speak for officers, or teachers, sorry, who has not been paid in September, they were not paid 3, 4, 5 years ago, because if you listen to him, he's still trying to speak as it relates to teachers have been there 2 and 3 and more years, still want to place blame on the past administration. But this is an issue that is happening today. Whether or not they were not regularized or left on contract, for the past 3.5 years, as you alluded to, they're the best government, they're the government that do the most for teachers. But in September of 2025, they are failing to pay your teachers, and you're not blaming the government, you're blaming the Ministry of Education. It is fascinating. When you listen to these persons speak, you're asking yourself whether or not they're doing that intentionally. Whether or not it is an attempt to make the other side look good or not, I don't know. But it sounds foolish. It really does. Because it's not the government fault, but it's the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education, was a candidate of the past administration in the last general election. His ministerial role and senatorial role was given to him or handed to him by the government of the day. So directly or indirectly, the government is not doing what is expected. We're here talking a pile of bull crap. Yeah? Just to take political sides and make yourself sound good. But sir, you're sounding foolish. You're sounding foolish. And if you are to represent the teachers of your union and you're making a call to the government of today, make it through the vocals that every individual who is responsible for ensuring that our teachers are paid, that they ensure that they do the right thing. But you had people in the ministry and they don't have to send it there and they don't have to send it. Stop it. Stop it. You're probably showing yourself. There are young people listening to you. And the persons that you are representing are persons of our educational standpoint. And they too understand what is your responsibility. Stop it. Stop it. Sounds foolish? It is foolish. Moving on gingerly, as we normally say here in local terminology. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent days, also, we have had the conversation that has been coming from the persons in Cloger. And today, one would have reached out to me personally, said to me, please, he said, please, address the issue in Cloger for me, because the government isn't doing anything about it, and they are not coming to speak to us. Now, Brother Dabrio in recent days, or not too long ago, and I want to get my hands on this, where Brother Dabrio would have basically made the clarion call on behalf of the people of St. John's. And let me, as I said, let me just get my hands on it, and I would read it. Brother Dabrio. Folks, I am working with, as I said to you, only one computer system for now. And so, and the reason why ever so often you would find me, breaking ever so often, because when I had two computers to work with, it is now just one. A statement on the status of Closure Road project. The Closure Road project began with much anticipation and loud fanfare. The government was in high praise to itself when the project started, promising progress and relief for the people of St. John. But fast forward to today, it's been 1 month since all work came to a stop. The contractors packed up, removed the equipment and temporary lighting, and left the site. Since then, not a single update has been given to the people who use this road daily. So we ask, why was the work stopped? Was the project fully funded? Does the government no longer have the money to continue? And why has there been complete silence since the contractors left? The people of St. John's matter. We deserve transparency, respect, and honest communication. After all the celebration and self-praise, at least the government can do is explain what, if anything, went wrong and when the project will resume. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know what bitters me most about this? And we have been accepting this in Grenada in recent days, time and time again. How is it that you have an administration that makes decisions, does things, and simply says absolutely nothing about it? You're hearing call of allegation, you're hearing corruption, you're hearing, I mean, all kind of things you're hearing, and these people are just not answering you. Like, we in charge, so I don't have to talk to you. You is not who I have to speak with. I mean, over a month, you telling me that those questions are to be asked. Our government should have at least be proactive in at least holding, even if it's a seminar, because it is always at a town hall meeting and whatever, and meet with the people of Closure in a centralized spot and explain certain things to them. That in recent days we have had torrential rainfall, and so this conversation have regurgitated itself because the conditions of the road is more and more deplorable. So you start a project, you spend money on it, and now because of rainfall, something might happen, maybe slide again or whatever, and you may have to go and make another funding. I mean, as Ms. Pear would have alluded to in one of the meetings, I think is in Ford, too much of wastage. Too much of wastage. Where is the management in all this? Who is the persons managing and oversighting some of these projects? Projects are not supposed to start and stop so much. I remember when they came into office, they said we have how much in the pipeline. But it isn't better to have it in the pipeline and prepare it and then open the pipe than to put it in the pipe and you know the pipe clog. You make me feel like we'll get water, you put on pipe, you will lay whatever, and I can't get water. Then you telling me, don't worry, you'll get water, man. Let me say something to you, ladies and gentlemen. You know why I foresee all this? This is the terminology my grandmother used to use. The grass is growing while the cattle remain hungry or unfed. I am foreseeing this administration putting all these things intentionally on hold to maybe attempt to come with some political gimmicks when the election campaign comes around, to try throwing money into this and oh, when we finish day and we open that day. That is what I foresee. That is what I foresee, because you cannot say to me, this is an administration. This is an administration that continue to boast as it relates to stable economy, and they have money, and they're making justification when you come up with questions that you're asking yourself. Because let me ask you a question. If a government is financing or funding a project, and everything is on its way, contractors and so on, and maybe engineers and so on have given the okay. No, if it is all right, it's an excuse that is acceptable. I think one can come to the people and say, you know what? The reason why you haven't seen us is because we have met an engineering problem. We have this. Because if the funding is right, it is okay to come to the people and say, you know, we decided we could have done that, but we have met with that issue. You're making us believe that the money is the issue. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you can't tell me anything else. Once you have monies and you have funding for a project and everything is allocated for and going in the right path, there should not be any hold up. No stop at all. Absolutely no hold up should not come. Because even if, look at, we had the issue when we were doing the Silver Sun project, the Silver River project. We had issues of torrential rains and materials being lost and so on. But every time the rain done, or whatever it is, you saw men back at work. You never saw no big hold up, no month and 2 weeks and 3 weeks. We get rain today, 2 days you may not see people on work. The next few days, fellas back on work. Because we know that they're going to have hiccups. And hence the reason why when you're doing those projects and your allocations, you do all these things for maybe loss or theft, all these things. When you're doing projects, you must put it as a probability in terms of projection. When you're doing projects and so on, whether or not you'll be faced with maybe conditions that may cause, you know, whatever it is, you make these allocations. If you go through right now, and I'm going to attempt to do it, the amount of start and stop project that is happening in Grenada right now, and then there is no form of accountability. Nobody's answering to them. It's like, what do you want to ask me? It's like we're begging this administration to talk to us. The past administration had press briefing ever so often. But it's like this administration, you have to beg them. Please, I'll tell us something. As I was explaining to somebody the other day, in my own way, but I want to get the meaning of it. A stable economy. A stable economy is what has minimal fluctuation in growth and low inflation, resulting in predicted financial condition. This is a state categorized, what is wrong with me? Steady economic growth, low unemployment, and a high employment rate, providing financial security for individual and businesses. Have you seen that in Grenada, ladies and gentlemen? Let's be honest. Let us be honest. They got a classical reading and they say, oh, well, they say we have a steady economy. Have you seen economic growth in Grenada? Let's be honest. And if there is, point me in the direction thereof. Point me in the direction thereof. The Prime Minister is wanting to answer things when he feel like. Don't I go answer all when I'm ready. Those are the kind of responses we get, you know. Yeah, when I'm ready, I will tell all you. As if, you know, he go answer us when he want. Issues of the state, don't worry, we go address it. No when, no probable time, no time frame, is that we go address it. But let me sidetrack a bit. Because this one fascinates me. This one really fascinated me in the past few days. Because it shows that here in Grenada, we have to ask who in charge. So when I heard in recent days, Mr. Pierre shared another footage with us, through Simon Says, and this clipping is coming from there. Listen this one.
But there were responses because what I treat it when I speak is truth, fairness, and respect. And I call people out. Nobody officially responded from the government or otherwise, but there were responses, and the mouthpieces of the government, of course, that has spread across social media, had their bit, whether it's insults or threats or warnings or otherwise. There's some people who did lives just for me and so on. But I must say here on this program that no amount of threat, warning, insults, or anything else would stop me from continuing to speak about the injustices. So it's a total waste of time. I prefer really to get down in the issues. If I can get someone could have a conversation on the constitutional issues, the legal issues, the ethical issues, then yeah, we'll have that conversation. Otherwise, I keep my head straight ahead, my eyes straight ahead, and I'll continue to speak on. I understand now that the Prime Minister is hopping mad at the chairman. Not because for what they did to me, but because she called his name. He doesn't concern about me or my rights. He's only concerned about the fact that she said, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. And that I can repeat that. And they can't do anything about it. I understand.
We're moving on nicely. Because I want to address all of them before we start our conversation. To address every one of them before I jump into what I really want to address within that conversation.
Was Mr. Pear's constitutional rights violated?
I think he's still entitled to sue for damages for the breach of his constitutional rights. Public officer, which is the term used in the Constitution, of which Mr. Pear was one, cannot be forced to retire. The retirement could be voluntary or by effluxion of time attaining the retirement age. What I find, I'll get into, I just mentioned this, really distasteful is that the Gemma Bain Thomas was represented by the former Attorney General under the NDC, my good friend, Rohan Phillip. Rohan Phillip, when he represented Gemma Bain, was in chambers with Nazim Burke. In fact, yeah, so they know about these things. Claudette knows, all of them know, Claudette, Attorney General, that this is not good to do this sort of thing, yet they're doing it. And I find that really, really sad that we have received a new administration has taken the reins, and we are not seeing the adherence.
What?
Again in the public space, that when the government speaks about regularization, it is a concept that government, this administration, has created for themselves. And it is not a concept that really speaks to regularization in the norm and in the way that unions and workers understand regularization to be. Because regularization as a concept means that an employee who is working with Grenada in the public service receives an instrument, note I said instrument, of appointment from the Public Service Commission. Now, if you do not receive such an instrument, you're not regularized. And so what government is practicing is a form of something, but it is unfair, it is wrong, it is unjust for the administration to be saying to the public that we are regularizing workers. That is not the case. In the main, in the norm, what is happening is that workers continue to receive contracts of employment.
Not NNP.say. Start off by saying this. And I addressed both issues because I really don't want to go back into because I'm actually using my phone to do most of the audios. So I don't want to go back in, so I want to address those issues as I play them. Now, the first one concerning Mr. Pear. And let's go to layman thinking. Now, as Mr. Bristol allocated to, the present Attorney General is aware. The chairperson of the PSC, who had a similar situation in the reign of the past administration, who attained legal counsel, got results as it relates to the decision made then. who now sits in the chair making the very said decision. And doing so by calling the name of the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou P.T. Martin. Now, while you sit aside and look, ladies and gentlemen, there is something that is going to brew in Grenada that is going to unveil so much of this administration. And I keep warning you all from this time early. I tell all you, this is an organization that is going to continue to attempt to pull wool over our eyes. But sometime later on, we will have started seeing and hearing. So we're starting to hear. As I said to people prior to the last general election, we had very little on the now sitting Prime Minister in his political capacity. What have we seen now? Ladies and gentlemen, how can you say to me that some chairman of an individual institution uses the name of the Prime Minister to aid in the dismissal or infringe on somebody's constitutional rights, and they are not reprimanded or dismissed? Somebody uses the name of the Prime Minister, saying the Prime Minister said that. I am certain if any layman man were to go somewhere and say, I am here, and the Prime Minister tell me to tell you that, and the Prime Minister finds out later on, I am certain that person might be facing some form of legal threat, a reprimand or some warning or something, and could be arrested on its legal space. But can you imagine this? That a public official, Mr. Bristol alluded to it, a public officer, as the Constitution says, what evidence, what alluded you to believing that you have lost confidence in this individual, that you have not brought anything to say, well, okay, you know what? I believe that he's taking information from government, because he doesn't even work in a government entity. They take him and show him cry down in Point Saline in training school. And I believe he's one of the individuals, ever since I've been in the police force, that have not socialized to that amount where, okay, when he don't work, he did sit down somewhere with some folks or some other officers talking something. He has to go to a meeting, he goes to his meeting. He has to go to his work, he goes to his work. Goes back, he picks up his wife wherever, and he drives to where he lives. Maybe if he had to stop somewhere, he might stop. No evidence. You call a public officer and you say, hey, boom, you know. And then he makes it public. He makes it public because this happened to Mr. Pay, and you would not have known if he did not speak about it. He made it public. And in the attempt to make it public, he had been ridiculed. So now, as I would have read a little clip in the other day, somebody is alluding to, to making the past administration look now as if, well, they had people in the police force that the NNP had inside there. Ladies and gentlemen, I know officers who sat in the position as the Commissioner of Police, who in the last general election played a pivotal role in the campaign process here in Grenada. One today sits as the advisor or an advisor. He did more board here than a nail. Others who are even given security contracts. To speak of that, I hear just recently a driver to a particular parliamentary representative, he opened his own security firm. We're going to address that on another day. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying to you is this. We are living in a time when the Prime Minister's name can be used to victimize and ridicule individuals. And in the attempt to affiliate them with political organization, say anything. Says anything. So my thing is that any officer, and officers of the raw grade of the police force, understand this. That at this stage, your organization, if of the belief that you are affiliated with any political organization, you can be called and asked to be resign your task on the basis that I believe you're supporting particular organization, political organization that is. And you hear we saying it. This man was asked to resign because he married the wrong person. That is what it is. And so he is basically deemed to be now victimized because he supports his wife and her political stance and her career choice. He should not have done that. So maybe if after she took the position as political leader, he would have divorced her, maybe he would have had his work. That is what I have to say, because, I mean, this is the basis, because they believe, because now that he should have been made the political leader, it compromised his position. But when she was minister of government, and when the past administration, because in 2008, past administration, NDC came into office, and he too was still a police officer. I think he was transferred or something like that. And then it was okay. He did his job within the time. They had no issues of him in any way trying to undermine government or anything like that. He did his work and all these things. When he was asked to hand up whatever he did, all what he had to do. Huh? But them gangsters rich. Them Bajan, they're not here. And they're just doing what they feel. The longest rope have an end. The longest prayer have an amen. The conversation of regularization. You heard it. Set a contract. Maybe they don't understand what the meaning of regularization is. But you heard it yourself. I don't have the documents. I am not privy to the information. But as I played the clip for you, you heard it yourself. And so, I want us to think deep. Go within the crust of our minds. And understand all that is happening here. Before I jump into my next conversation, ladies and gentlemen, over the weekend I made public a lot of important information. I made public some very important information, and I'm hoping that many of you guys took the opportunity to look at. Yeah? One of which I addressed again. One of the posting in terms of what they stated has been the achievement. And number 3 says enhancement at the Maurice Bishop International Airport. But back in 2020, the New Today, published by the NDC Heartbeat on November 23rd of 2020, basically said to the Grenadian people, the principle, the NDC has no difficulty with the upgrade of our infrastructure. After all, that is part of the role and function of government. Recently, government borrowed over 180 million in what they considered at the time to be in secret expansion of the MBIA. There are more questions than answers, so they stated, and several concerns with this loan that goes beyond the mere size and justification. Now, this was 2020. In 2025, they take praise for the enhancements at the Maurice Bishop International Airport. Ladies and gentlemen, as I stay into the camera, I want you guys to understand vividly the level of deception they are willing to now go. And as somebody said to me, oh, it's not the government that posted it. I haven't seen a government minister went under it and said that is not so. Because I know many of them are on social media. Because whenever they come under the comment section and so on and post, we see them. So if any one of this was untrue, I think it was only prudent to say to the public that is not so. We went on to look at the day before, one that was posted again, and I made it public. Number 4, they upgraded the Windward Fish Market and Jetty. And remember when I decided to deal with that last week, I said I don't know much about the jetty, but I would look into it. But you see, they don't be so fast to post that they just give me the opportunity to start my research with them. On Saturday, it was made public that work started on the Windward Jetty when their very own picture said what? Upgraded. The little knowledge I have in the subject of English language, the ED in most words speaks to the past. I walked, he touched, I looked, I believed. Those things speaks in its past. And so if it is being labeled as an upgraded Windward Fish Market Jetty, I wonder why do we have to then see posted work has started. Let's move on gingerly. As I said, I also made public some information as it relates to our agriculture sector here in Grenada in 2023 and the results that we had. I went on further to even speak. I don't know, and I even asked many persons that. How many of you guys remember Hurricane Lily? A hurricane, but Storm Lily. And Grenada's recovery process thereafter. Yeah? How many of you guys remember those? All right. Now I saw, even over the weekend, they took praise. Tell you what, if somebody could not have vomit and NDC make them vomit by upsetting them, they're taking praise for that. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a policy made by the Caribbean that in most cases when there is a natural disaster to heat or projected to heat a Caribbean island, and you have persons within that country that are not nationals of the state, there is a Caribbean policy where most Caribbean islands are going to seek to, through government, attempt to get those nationals out of harm's way, especially if that country is not facing the very same issues. Now, I think Antigua or one of the other countries would have brought in at least 27 of their nationals, and I think Grenada did the same. But they took it as a big praise over the weekend. What I'm saying to you guys, this is not a big breeze because the Grenada policy for assisting citizens abroad after a disaster is based on regional cooperation through a Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. A national disasters management plans to focus on providing aid to its citizens within a border or its borders force. While Grenada is part of the regional response mechanism, its national approaches prioritize its own territory, and a comprehensive law of international relief is still under development. Assistance for Grenada would like to be coordinated through diplomatic channels, potential individual partners, organizations like IFRC, other countries, and by activating pre-existing national disaster response strategies. So it is no wow what happened over the weekend. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Now, my conversation today in closing baffles me one, keeps me thinking like, hey, what is really going on here? And to ask myself, and for you to ask yourself, why no? While the people of Grenada continue to await an official update regarding the reported requests from the United States to deploy military assets at Maurice Bishop International Airport, Parliament is scheduled to convene on Tuesday to table a series of regulations under the Civil Aviation Act. Those acts speaks to things like aeronautical chart regulation, certification of air aviation services, also aeronautical information services and regulation, ANS fatigue management regulation, communication system regulation, surveillance and coalition avoidance system regulation. Now, if the answer to the U.S. request is no, then the public deserves to understand why these regulations are being fast-tracked and whether they are connected to that request in any way. If the answer is yes, then the absence of public consultation and parliament debate on such a critical matter is deeply troubling. Now, most of the things that I would have allocated to here, like the very first one, the aeronautical, or the what we call the regulations that governs the borders as to where, like flights and so on, is of concern. We have the things like communication system regulation. Those regulations speaks to transmitting and information transmitting communication through whatever form of system. My question is, why are we fast-tracking those acts? What is the purpose thereof? How are we looking at this, ladies and gentlemen? Now, the fact is, how many Grenadians are aware as it relates to the tabling of those acts tomorrow? How many Grenadians are aware that those acts, because all those things speaks to aviation, as you heard, Civil Aviation Act. What is aviation? Aviation speaks to the travel, the descending or the ascending or whatever of aeroplanes or whatever it is. Battleships, all these things. So my thing is what baffles me in all this is the Prime Minister's approach to it. I go talk to all you when I'm ready. And when I talk to all you, I'm not going to talk to all you when I'm going to say yes or no. I'm talking to all you based on what I find. Ladies and gentlemen, we deserve this. Grenadians, home and abroad, we deserve this kind of behavior? I go do it when I'm ready. I go do it when I feel like. Come on. We have a two-stage protest on this conversation. 2. 1 week before Thursday, one last Thursday. Persons are wanting to say to him, say no. Say no. But listen to me. If you do a consensus now, most persons are saying, say no. Whether or not he go listen to all you, I know. Having mentioned that since in August, mind you, the parliament sits tomorrow. As recent as today, we received information that that request that has been made to Grenada has not been sent to the opposition. The opposition has not been included in this conversation. Could you imagine this? So all the time everybody asking, well, what do the opposition have to say? What can they say? They had no information on it. Coming to speak on it as an opposition, it doesn't make sense, because what are we addressing? Something we hear on this side of the road like everybody else? No, if there is a document presented, then we can say, based on the document we received from government on X and such date, we are wanting to state that government should take such and such approach. This is an opposition. They represent a percentage of the people of the state. And so they can come and say, oh, well, we hear government want to do that. Government has a right to bring those things to the opposition. And when we say a right, we mean it is only the process of the parliament, the parliament. So we know they don't want to do it, but we know from a process through the parliament. That is what ought to happen. But as I said, the big boys, or the big dogs, sorry, or the big dogs, I mean the big boys, I mean the big dogs, whatever it is, just don't want to get the NNP involved. So it fascinates me as to what has caused its speed. Time alone shall tell. My final issue in closing speaks to the constituency of St. Mark's, specifically that of the Victoria Hotel. The past administration, through the clarion call of the parliamentary representative, would have bought the Victoria Hotel. And in its attempt to make the area one where individuals could have been able to pay bills, maybe a possible money transfer unit, a restaurant would also one of the things that was stated that could have been happening there. A contractor given the contract to start work there and do the modeling and so on of the building has or would have commenced. More so that he was in possession of the key to the location. So it was not one where government bought it and they was sitting on their hands on it. When it was bought, government said this is what we wanted to, and so work started on it to make the area or to make developments for the people of St. Mark's. Yeah? And so a contractor was contracted, work started. Then came the general election, which the past administration would have lost. Ever since then, after realizing that that would have happened, a letter was forwarded through the parliamentary representative to the government asking what is its stance on the Victoria Hotel. The response given then was that it was going to be used to host officers of the Victoria Police Station because they were wanting to undertake renovations of the now place where the Victoria Police Station is. We have not seen any work done on the Victoria Police Station. Neither we have seen anything done at the Victoria Hotel. Now, even one member would have spoken with the contractor who was doing the work at the Victoria Hotel after the general election in finding out what is the stance at present or what is going to be happening at the Victoria Hotel. The contractor was approached by somebody who had no right to go and speak to him. He did, however, in his right state, direct the individual to the ministry where he knew he had a contract as to the work to be done at the Victoria Hotel. However, a lock was changed, or a padlock was changed in that area. So one time they would have asked for the keys. They made changes to the lock. They brought back the keys to the individual who at the time had it. And when attempting to again go to the hotel, she was told that, hey, this is who have the key for that area. There were some items at the hotel that was moved. Yeah. They just went there. There was some thing like fridge and little mattresses or whatever and bed. That was moved. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, today, with government having done nothing, no work continued with the contractor that was there at the time, it is understood that there is an individual that is storing items at that very said place or building. So government building now is being used by a private individual to store his very private items as his very own liking. I am making a call here today. Tell them I say so. And you may ask, who am I? I'm a Victorian, born and bred. And if there is a development to aid in the assistance of the Victoria people, to that extent, to St. Mark's, I say whoever have item inside them, move it. Because I would not rest until I hear all of them move. I would not rest until I hear them move. Because I would forever be speaking on it. All you ain't going to use it when and how all you want. Spoke about it, and an individual said, oh, the past administration did not buy it for the people of St. Mark's. They bought it to sell it cheap to some lady. I do business. I am certain that when the lady bought it, and if it would have been renovated, it was for the people of Victoria St. Mark's. I am saying to you now, if the private entity is not in no way having any reason to have those items be stored where you have it, move it. I was going to use a word behind it, but I think a little while I almost lost it there. Move it. If NNP was going to sell it cheap for an investor, and although saw it fit to take it away from them, I say sell it for some form of investment in Victoria and do it fast. Do it real fast. Because I would be talking about it. I would be talking about it. And I go talk and I go talk and I go. My mouth go make wappy for it. A little one-sided. Or you like think all your way. Oh, Dr. Moda send them this and oh, Miss Clarice this and all kind of thing all you said. To get her out of there to what, go and do the same thing. Or even worse, it ain't gonna happen. Move it. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the end of the program for today. Just before I run off, I just want to promote 2 items that I did not do before the program started. One, I don't know many of you guys are aware as it relates to Odyssey time in an event. They normally do runs like triathlon runs and different miles of run. And on Saturday the 1st, yes, they will be having a hollow run. They're going to do a 5K run, and you can dress in your Halloween outfit and run. It's really exciting. And I am in possession of one, and you could only, mind you can only register online because on the day they don't do registration. I am presently in possession of a promo code, right? I can give that promo code to anybody who message me, who message me and give me at least 3 members of the 3 ministries and the person's name of those ministry that was held when NMP won the election back in 2030. So give me 3 ministers and 3 of the positions that they hold or held. Yeah? 3. Just 3. Only 3. Just give me to them. Give me their names and the position they hold, and you would get that promo number. It is expiring tomorrow by midnight tomorrow. That promo code will be expired, so I need those information. If you want to be part of the Hollow Run, it is at Container Park. That's in True Blue. So just simply text me those 3 ministries and the 3 persons who hold those ministries. Maybe I should give those ministries. I think. You can tell me who was the minister for agriculture, the minister of health, and the minister of youth. So health, agriculture, and youth. Tell me who held those 3 positions when the NNP took office in 2013, sorry. So health, let me write it down so when you send it to me, I'll see the writing, youth, and agriculture. So tell me the persons who held those 3 ministerial positions. Yes? All right. So ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's broadcasting. God's blessings to each and every one of you guys. Get you back here again tomorrow where we have another conversation. Yes, tomorrow we're here. Tomorrow we may not be here on Wednesday. On Wednesday we're heading up to St. Patrick's West. More than likely, I may be the person hosting that meeting. So again, we want to be tentative as it relates to the voice and the broadcasting. Yeah. Last week I tried it because I realized that I hadn't done any recording, so I came in and I placed it before I placed at 5. Yeah. So we're back on. We're at the same time today, and so we want to just remind the general public to, be part of our program and programs. Again, get registered. Check your voters list. If you're wanting to transfer your voters, where you want to vote, I think you should start making inquiries now, and do so within a probable time and with probable cause. All right. So with that being said, you have yourself a blessed evening, and it is now 9 minutes gone past the hour of 6, and we're going to see you again tomorrow, same time, same place, same frequency.
criminals coming. With them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I want to fix them personally. Peter wait, Peter look Cecil Rhodes by the gate. Peter look the Englishman, we send Cecil Rhodes to Africa land. Peter take Drake, take Raleigh, but leave Victoria for me. Peter I just don't care what you say, but Mussolini he can't get away. Why?
This is my time for burning.
I'm burning. Blazing.
This is your time for burning.
I'm burning.
Keep the fire coming.
Peter, you don't know the pressure that I undergo from these madman and woman. I feel the full weight of the hand. They made the oppress law. They never care about the poor. Peter, these people had a day. Well, now it's time for Stalin to play. Peter, wait, I say Peter, wait. Peter, look Ian Smith by the gate. Peter, I don't want you to make fuss. Remember, I want Christopher Columbus. Peter, look the English woman who on South Africa refused to put sanctions.